Hello! So I'm still trying to get through the fabric stash that I have, and this green velvet was from a pile of fabric, or a bunch of fabric that my aunt gave me, and it was a little narrow and I didn't have that much of it, so I ended up making a slip dress with it because I figured there's no sleeves, so I could probably eke out just like enough for what I needed, which is what ended up happening. So yeah, and the construction wasn't hard. I just did like I just moved my bodice block darts to the side and, cut on the bias so it fell nicely. And yeah, it was not that difficult to make. So I would recommend. And I think it came out really pretty. So yeah, let's do the video. Okay, I'm once again on a mission to use up my stash of fabric. So I dug through this bag of fabrics that my aunt actually got for me, and I found this green velvet that I've just been sitting on, and it's so pretty. It's such a pretty green. Let me just zoom in there. So I thought, okay, there's not actually a lot of it. I just folded it into like this shape to see if there was enough for me to cut it on the bias to make like a slip dress, because there's not that much fabric here. So I need to get creative, So I think like I can't make like a midi or a maxi. So I have enough to make like a shorter one, which I'm hoping might look okay too. So I'm gonna try to do that and we'll see how that turns out. I do have to figure out what I'm doing with these are just my bodice blocks here. So I am going to adjust this so that I think there's only a dart at the bust. I don't really want to put in a zip or anything, so let's see how to do that. Maybe it's not as tight as it could be. Let me see. Let me adjust the front and think about it. All right, I was editing and realized that the pattern drafting portion was really hard to see because I just wrote with pencil on wrapping paper. So the contrast just wasn't high enough. So I made these little mini pattern pieces, blocks. They aren't exactly proportional or anything, but I'll give like the idea of what I did. Also, I'm no expert, but this is just what I did. All right, so I'll start with the front. Okay, the first thing I did was cut apart the bodice and the skirt so I could manipulate the darts on the bodice. So I just drew in the legs up to the bust point there so that I could cut one leg of each of the darts and then close the waist dart and open up that fullness into the side dart. I moved the point back down from the bust point so that the dart wouldn't be pointy when I sewed it up. So I found the halfway point of that width and lined it up in the center there and move it down. On my actual block, I think I move it down 1.5 inches from the bust point and then draw in the new dart legs. I found a Sharpie so that hopefully this will be more clear. Then I closed up the dart as best I could and cut it to find the shape needed there. This is definitely not perfect. It was just hard to do with something so small. Then I needed to get rid of the dart in the skirt portion so that I could connect it to the bodice again. So I cut one leg and then closed it up and taped up those pieces. Now it's kind of like an A-line skirt. Right, then I needed to connect it, making sure that the center is still straight, that center portion on the right, because that's going to be cut on the fold. I lengthened the skirt. I just went the length I could on the fabric. So I ended up being able to do about 28 inches from the waist. So that's what I showed doing here. Not 28 inches, but I used 4 inches here. But just to show what I did on the fabric. Because it's an A-line and that waist is curved now, so the bottom is curved. Then also, like, the skirt kind of overlapped the bodice there, and I cut away part of the skirt just so that I could see where the actual waistline was. But then I did smooth it out and make it wider because it needs to be able to slip on without a zipper or any kind of fastening, and so it just can't nip in that far in the waist. I just eyeballed it, honestly. Then I went to work on the neckline. So I checked where my bra strap was on my shoulder while I was wearing it. It was about a few inches over from the neckline. And I think I used the bust point as a guide there just to see where the bra strap was. Then my arm side was high and I needed to lower it anyway for a slip dress. So I went down 2.5 inches there. And then I went down 5 inches at the neckline. And then 5 inches down from the shoulder at that point. I want like the high point to be at the bra strap. That's where I wanted the strap to be. Then I just did like gentle curves between those 3 points. Cut it out, and then I added my 1/2 inch seam allowance back in. Those measurements are accounting for the seam allowance. So when I'm saying 2.5 inches out from the neckline, or 2.5 inches down, that's 3 inches down because there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance there. So those measurements are from the seam allowance. If that makes sense, hopefully it does. Alright, and onto the back, and I moved it down 2.5 inches as well at the arm side. Just used what I cut off from the front to be a guide, and I cut it straight across. And then I moved the top point of the dart down about 2.5 inches because I didn't want the end of the dart to be cut off. I ended up having to pinch that part of the top anyway because the back was loose, but this is how I made the original pattern. Then I did a little swoop. I just eyeballed it to match the other waistline. I wasn't too precious about it. I just smoothed it out and made it a little wider. And I cut straight across, under the arm side there, and I cut out that waist. Then I lengthened the skirt, making sure that center line that needs to be cut on the fold remains straight, and I lengthened it to that 28 inches to match the front, and just, you know, continued that A-line, that flare of the skirt down to that length. And then that didn't look straight, so I cut it straighter. I walked the side seam a bit, not super carefully, but just to get a rough idea. I think originally I did have to add some extra to the skirt on the side. And then I added seam allowance to the top where I cut off the shoulder, like the back bodice portion. And that was it. This is what I ended up using. I hope this was clear, or more clear than what I saw, definitely, on the edit. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. So, let me zoom in so you can see. So, 2 darts became 1. I took out the dart at the skirt and flared it out a bit. So, I matched them up here, like about where the waist is. Yeah, my bodice block has a situation with the waist, but I just use it as is, even though, you know, it's fine. So, yeah. There you go. Also, I took out this 1 inch in the front. This 1 inch in the front is in case, you know, I wanted to do buttons or something. I don't know. I would have to add more for that too, but it is what I took it out because cutting in the fold. Alright, here are the changes to the back. Are they perfect? No, they are definitely not perfect, but I'm going to call it good enough, and I'll fix it while I cut. So here it is. The arm side is cut down 2.5 inches, and then that dart at the top is shortened so that it's not just cutting right through. And that went down 2.5 inches, and then... Oh, you know what I'm realizing right now? I think I need to add a 1/2 inch back onto there. Oops. Hold on. Okay, added the 1/2 inch seam allowance back on, and there it is. I didn't fully walk the seams, so it's probably off, but I'll figure it out. Alright, so I adjusted the folds a bit, just so that it'd be more even on both sides. Hopefully this is biased enough. So yeah, hopefully it's not gonna be it's gonna be hard to cut. It's gonna be easier to cut it on the floor, but it is carpet, so I guess we'll see. I'm just gonna add as much as I can. The other side can do 8, so in this side. Alright, clearly things got wonky in the cutting here, but I just tore some holes into the pattern. I'm just gonna mark it, hopefully with a pen. Alright, you got the front darts done, and the back darts done. So now I'm gonna just sew up the side seams, I think. And I did a straight stitch for these, but I think I'm gonna zigzag the sides just in case there is enough stretch for that to matter. Alright, just try it on. And it looks like the back is too loose. I think it's quite a bit too loose. So I'm gonna have to take that in. Well, I might take the side seams in a bit first. Maybe like however much this is. I'm gonna take the side seams maybe an inch on each side first and then check the back again. Just like the top part of the side seam. Alright, so from the front here, I'm gonna bring it in an inch from the top and taper it down 3 inches. I think that should be good. See if that's too much. Alright, and then I just pinched the back darts and about a 1/2 inch on each one, so I'll just, let's see if this works. Alright, I'm not sure if I like the bottom of it. I think it's too A-line. And it's a weird length. And it needs to be shorter or longer. But I don't want to deal with that right now. So I thought maybe I can finish the top neckline with just this, like, this lace that I have. I think all the lace I have is secondhand. This, and it's what it varies in quality. This one's nice and soft, so I think this might be a good pick. So I think I'm just gonna sew it on, like straight edge on, and then hopefully it'll have like a cute little peak at the top. So I'm gonna try that before I figure out what to do. I'm thinking maybe I can do this narrow velvet ribbon as the straps, but I'm gonna get this on and see how I feel. Alright, so I sewed on the lace, and I just like the corners, I kind of just zhuzhed them as I went. The sharp ones I sewed off and then folded it and then sewed back and then put it back under the machine and sewed so that it came out like a little, just a little like folded. I wasn't too precious about it, honestly. And the side seam that was not as sharp, I kind of just zhuzhed as I went. So now I picked like the kind of narrow lace because it has a straight edge, so it's easy to sew on, and it's soft, so I hoped it would bend nicely. And then I just wanted a little peak, you know. But now I need to figure out how to get it to lie flat so it doesn't like, because the other side wants to keep popping up too. So I'm gonna try to iron it flat. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, that's super not working. I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to just sew this down the edge. I'm gonna try doing that. Okay, so I finished up the sewing the seam allowance down so that the lace would stay up. Also, I realized I folded where I started and ended the wrong way, so I'm gonna have to fix that. But I put it on and I checked where my bra strap would end at the back, and it was about 5 inches from the side seam. So I am gonna connect the straps there and at the points that I have in the front. So I measured with the tape, and it's about 15 inches. You know what? I'm just gonna do 16, so I have a 1/2 inch under. The straps are on. I did fold it in and just sew them down to prevent fraying, but like I didn't sew the best, but I think I'll be fine. And I also undid the part here where they meet and folded it inside so it wouldn't be showing on the outside. I think I'm gonna have to go in and just hand sew these two pieces together though. But before I do that, I think it's too flared. So I think what I'm gonna do here is I checked where I think it is. It's about 20 inches down, I think. Okay, so I measured in 2 inches here, and there's the 20-inch mark down from the top. So I'm just drawing a dotted line here. And slightly cover the top here to meet the seam. So hopefully that works. We match on the other side. I should have done smaller stitches, but good enough. Alright, so now I feel like it's a weird length. Like it's like a weird length. It's not quite long enough and also quite not short enough. And I don't want to go shorter because it's like a loose dress. What I should have done is gone as long as I could and had corners and then patched it. But I didn't, so now I have to figure out how to lengthen the bottom. So to figure out how to lengthen the bottom without it looking weird. So my options are I could add lace to it. It's not going to add that much length, and I'm going to see if I can get anything else out of the fabric. Maybe I could do a ruffle or something. I don't know. This is what I have left. So it's not a lot. It's not a whole lot, I think. But first, what I should do is even out the hem and see what it is all the way around. The circumference is all the way around. Okay, it's not the most even hem here. So I'm gonna try my best to even it out without cutting too much. Okay, so let's try it on again. It's not the worst now. I mean, the hem is fine, but like, I'm even gonna measure it and see. I have this black lace that's like, you know, it's decently wide, I guess. I don't know if it's long enough. I think I need to measure the hem. Measure the hem and see if I have enough of the fabric left. It's about 28 and a half, so if I double that. All right, so roughly 57 inches. Let me see what we have here. And do I need to do it on the bias? Can I just do, if I just do ruffle, I could do a full length, I think. All right, when I do like a little test gather, like here, I want double. That's gonna be around 120. I feel like it's already, I can piece together like 90 if I cut on the bias here, but it's gonna be a little painful, I think. Is it worth the try? All right, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna cut some 6-inch strips on the bias and see where we end up. Because I do think I just want the length, and the lace isn't, I don't have a wide enough lace. I didn't think about picking it up and figuring out the nap. So now I'm just like, I think it's this way. I think that matches how it looks. All right, I've been measuring as I go. I have about 131 inches now, or I should, of really scrappy bits. So I'm hoping the gathering saves it. You know, hopefully. It's 131 inches of 6-inch long pieces. I'll sew them together in one long length and then hem and gather them. All right, I'm gonna straighten the edges and get all the nap the right way, the direction, and sew a long strip. Okay, I'm trying to match it. Some of them aren't as clear. This looks like it matches this way. But it also doesn't look bad this way. So into the round. So, one continuous strip. I marked which side was up, so once on both sides, so I just double checked to make sure. So the mark is on both sides where I sewed it into ring, and I marked it with the clip so I don't forget or mess it up. And now I am just gonna hem the other side, the bottom of the ruffle. It's cut in the bias, so it's resistant to frayings. I'm just gonna, I think, so I'm just gonna fold it once to keep the length. The hem is done, and now I'm just gonna crank up the tension and to the highest setting and alarm stitch, and I'm gonna gather the top like that. The ruffle is ready, gathered, and hemmed. Let's put it on the dress. Alright, sew that on. Yeah, I think it looks really cute. Aw, okay. Yeah, and it added like a good amount of length, so I feel like this is a good length now. Like it's like a full midi now, whereas before it was like weirdly knee length. I feel like a little rosette or something up here would be cute. I really like the ruffle, it's so cute. So, yay! Now I'm to figure out how to figure out what to do here, because like it's a little floopy. It's not terrible or anything. I could just do a little, you know, I had it in mock-up. I could have taken a little dart out from here, but I didn't. So I could just do a little like gather here, or a gather and something like a little rosette. I've been seeing, I guess, the rosettes for a while now, and I'm still seeing them, so that might not be a bad idea. So let me think about it. Or like a bow, something, you know. I think something here would be good. I think I'm going to try my hand at making it a rosette. So I think if the body of it is the velvet, and then I'm thinking maybe like I can like have these, like the lace and the velvet trim hanging from it, the black one. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm going to start with the rosette and see how that plays out. So I'm just going to do, watched a bunch of tutorials, or watched a few of them anyway, and it's roughly the same. So I'm going to cut out a 4-inch strip that's about 1 yard long. All right, this one is about 28 inches, so I need a little bit more. I'm just gonna go with it instead of piecing and see how big it comes out. So I'm just gonna sew it together and gather it in half. So I'm just gonna fold it in half lengthwise and then increase the tension on high and do a long stitch to hopefully gather it to what I need. I wasn't gonna clip it, but it was so wobbly, I just did a few quick clips to hold it in place. I'm just gonna play around with it and see. I had to gather it because the machine didn't do the best job. could have done a better job on the center, but I don't know. It's still cute. I wanted it kind of flatter. Okay, I'm just gonna pinch it here so that the rose looks better. A little dip, I think, will look better. I'm just gonna do it while I wear it. I don't know if this is proper protocol. Alright, so I sewed this little, I pinched it in and like sewed that little pinch pleat in while wearing it. This is one of those times where like a mannequin would be nice. But I did it. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but I think that's fine because I'm gonna put the rosette on it, and I think it just looks a lot better with a dip there. So I think I was playing around with making it detachable, but I think like this needs also like there's a little bald patch in the velvet, but I'm making do with what I have. So this was the longest strip I had, I think. Oh, there's one on the floor over there. I didn't notice. Oh, it's too late. Okay, this is what I'm using. So I'm just gonna sew this on here, and I think that's that. Maybe I'll fix the side seams a bit or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. So let me sew this on, also while wearing it, which I don't recommend, but here we are, you know. Also, I thought about adding like this velvet trim that I used for the straps and the lace on the neckline to have it hang, because I've seen that too underneath this. But honestly, it feels like too much. I'm gonna be shorter than this, but it feels too much. I think it looks nicer just like the same color on, you know? So I'm just gonna go with just the rosette. Hopefully that's a good choice. Okay, rosette on. Chilling. Is that better than that? Maybe. Alright. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely better. It's less visible, I think. So, yeah, good. Okay, so I had to wear a sticky bra with it because there's no way to, like, it's too low in the back to wear a regular bra, and also the pattern was created for like was wearing a bra when I made the pattern, so it fits better with something, you know. But and it kept wanting to fall and show. It's really old, like I wore it at my wedding years ago. So, but yeah, I would recommend a sticky bra for this. And also, I really like it. I think it's so cute and feminine, and it's really comfortable because it's not tight anywhere. You know, it's just like kind of loose and flowy. And I ended up really loving the little rosette and the ruffle. So that was like a happy necessity. And the ruffle also just adds some weight to the bottom, so it just flows and falls nicer. So I actually would recommend a ruffle for this if you don't have like the length of fabric needed. The fabric I used was kind of narrow too. But yeah, I even like the little lace. The lace wants to fall down a bit, even though I like stitched down the seam allowance to make it upright. But I don't really mind that. And I don't know, I think it's really cute, and it was pretty simple to sew because there's no fastenings. Yeah, there was like a couple darts, you know, that's about it. So I would recommend. And because I was cutting the bias, it wasn't really fraying much at all. So maybe I should have finished the seams, but I didn't, and it doesn't really seem to matter much. Like they're not really fraying, you know? And it's not like something I'm gonna wash and wear constantly anyway. So yeah, I would definitely recommend. I think now that if I were to sew it again, it'd be even faster because I wouldn't have to think about it. So yeah, I'd say 10 out of 10. This one's a good one. Yeah, right? Thanks for watching. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Okay, let's check it.